Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am very happy to converse with you again. From what I am seeing, my decision to learn rather than to contribute to the matter initiated and generated by Kanye West is not really going to be as I hoped it would be. My reason for wishing to stay off was and is still that I do not know enough. But as the days goes by and this matter keeps on developing, it's become necessary that I have to make a fuller statement. I have tried on two other occasions to talk about matters tangential to it, but I had to pull down the videos because I believe what I said were not really necessary. But with requests coming, with Igbos being mentioned in connection to the raging controversy, sometimes with my name being mentioned by people of goodwill, I feel it is high time I try to do something more substantial than what I have done before. Superb individuals like Dumisani Washington of the Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel has spoken on this matter. In fact, he mentioned my name. Yirmiyahu Danzig, ex-IDF officer, has also spoken on this subject. He mentioned the Igbo people. Rudy Rockman, Israeli activist, has also spoken on this matter. He also mentioned the Igbos. These three individuals are very knowledgeable about the Igbos. Last but not least, Rabbi Mordecai Ben Avraham, Orthodox rabbi, African American rabbi who lives in Israel and operates from there, who identifies with Igbos, has also spoken. And I get requests to answer questions and to talk. A gentleman who lives in Florida, Rudy Henrich, has also approached me privately and commented on this matter. So I feel that with the Igbos becoming a part of the discourse, that I should make a statement about the Igbo people, tell the world about the Igbo people, so that who the Igbos are will become more, so that who the Igbos are will become a fact, will become something that Igbos can, that people who want to know about the Igbos can have easy access to. I will start from the oral traditions of the Igbos about who they are. The Eri saga is very popular among the Igbo people. Many Igbo communities believe they descended from the Eri, who was son of God and who, according to the Hebrew Bible, was the fifth son of the Hebrew patriarch Jacob. Examples of the Igbo republics that hold this belief are Omuleri and Aguleri. In addition to their religion and tradition, which the states have traditions that are similar to those found in Israelite culture and religion, both point to the Eri, which are suffixes in their names as proof they descended from this figure. Natives of Aguleri go further to point to a site called Obuga, which they call Obugad at the present time as supportive evidence that they are descendants of Gad the Israelites. Obu or Obi is the place Igbo families communities meet. Obuga, which the assert stands for God's Obi, is not a new structure. Its age has not, however, been studied systematically, but it is a pre-Christian relic of Aguleri. Many other Igbo republics also believe they descended from this figure. An example is our Professor Francis Durus Dikenafai. Some others point to Judahite origins. Judah is Yehuda in contemporary Hebrew language, and their clans or republic names force us not to dismiss their assertions. Some of the names are Uda or Uda, and Ahoda or Ahoda. Judah was Israel's fourth son. We also have those who say they descended from the Israelite tribe of Zebulun. Some of the republics are Ozobolo, Obulokiti, Obuluku, and Obulu Ihejiofo. The Obulu in their monikers is suggestive, if not indicative. Taking the whole picture into consideration, I must concede Zebulun was Israel's fifth son. Still, some say they are descendants of Levi, and one such republic called Unri has a responsibility and sobriquet that sobers anybody that listens. The responsibility first. If an Igbo takes his life by hanging, his body is profane, for he has offended God and the community. The punishment for this infraction is his body will not be given proper burial, and he would not be mourned. Before anyone will touch his body, a priest from a Nri or Oreri has to perform purifications. Only after the purifications could the body be touched. Chinua Achebe, the world-famous Igbo novelist and scholar, did not delve into the Igbo Hebrew question. Probably he recused himself because at university he studied classics and generally wrote fiction, which he did extremely well, and may have felt that history and culture should be left for those with training in more relevant areas. He discussed this custom in his fictional work, Things Fall Apart. Instructively, this tradition is very important in Judaism and is biblical. Deuteronomy 21:23 mentioned it. Then, about the name of this community, Nri is called Nri Enwelo Ane. In my own dialect, it will be Nri Enweho Ana. This means that Nri has no land. Jacob, from what we have in Genesis 49:5-7, told Levi and Simeon that he would be scattered in Israel. Moses confirmed this, and the provision that Levi would have no land in Israel was added after the Levites were chosen for priestly services. Deuteronomy 10:9, the members of the tribe of Levi were given no allocations in the land of Israel, but were to live with other Levites, other Israelites. Instructively, people from Uri and other republics like Oreri, which is affiliated to it, migrate and live in the lands of other Igbos, all the while maintaining their identity as priests that perform purifications. My family has accommodated one Uri family from Oreri for 200 years. I hope I've been clear. The Israelite provenance of the Igbos is not in question, and I've wondered why Igbos should get into this discourse that was initiated by Kanye West. Apparently, there is no hiding place for the golden fish. I think the first person who came out of the continent called Africa to write, to compare the Israelite culture with his own culture that would be called African culture was an Igbo man, Olaudah Equiano. This is his book, which has become a bestseller by every standard. He spent considerable time in the land called the United States today, ended up a British citizen, and majority of, not majority anyway, a good number of African Americans are of Igbo stock. And Kanye West came from this community. I mean, the African American community. I repeat, a good number of African Americans, very hefty number of African Americans came from Igbo stock. Simply because the Igbos suffered more from the transatlantic slave trade than any other group in Africa. And probably Igbos are also being mentioned in the discussion, in the controversy, because even though the Igbos were a non-state actor in the 1950s and 1960s, I guess I am right if I say that the Igbos were the only non-state actor to have something stronger, something more substantial than full diplomatic relations with the nascent state of Israel. And Judaism is growing rapidly in the Igbo community or in the Igbo communities all over the world. Lastly, Omenana, which is the traditional religion of the Igbo people, which coheres with the religion of Moses, with the religion of the Israelites, is held by the Igbos who profess it today, rightly held by the Igbos who profess it today, to be the religion of the Israelites. And you cannot talk about the Jewish community, you cannot talk about the state of Israel without talking about the Israelites. Probably this is why Igbos are getting into the conversation. So I still think it is right that I put forward what I just put forward, because Igbos are not going to be silent because I mean, Igbos are not going to be kept out of the conversation because I decided not to speak. So it is important that I provided and produced the presentation that I have just made. You can always learn more about the Igbos by looking at these works. This is Suicide at Milking Hills. It's a novel that discusses the Netinim. The Netinim, we are the non-Levites, non-Kohanim, that the Torah mentions that we are in service also in the sanctuaries in Israel. They are still a living community among the Igbos today. This is where they are discussed in research mode. Broken Paradise tells us about the Igbos before the British waded in and destroyed the Hebrew Commonwealth that existed outside the land of Israel for 1,000 years as the most advanced community in the world as far as culture is concerned. Separated Hebrew Sisters discusses what would have been and what could still be when enough Igbos and enough Jews achieve more self-realization. In the early parts of 2022, a Sephardic organization called Obadiah Alliance brought out the result of years of hard work. They had immersed themselves in studies of the Igbos. Their leader, Yehonatan Elazar Mota, PhD, had even immersed himself in an Igbo community in Liverpool, studying the Igbos. In the early part of 2022, they released a report that the Igbos are lineal descendants of the Israelites. My My thinking about their findings and other tangential matters formed this book. You need to read it. You need to read this book. Igbos had no need to use DNA studies to prove who they are. The word Igbo, its English equivalent is Hebrew. The word Omenana is what Moses called the religion and culture of Israel in his language. But life matters. Igbos have been subsumed under identities like black, African, pagan, hidden, and all sorts of funny things. So Igbos are today asking questions about who they are. Questions that shouldn't arise. And this has been exploited by some people. About 5 years ago, a Christian organization in America, which the press called Israeli scientists, made up a report and claimed that it was the DNA of Igbos, that it did not reveal that Igbos' DNA extended beyond the Sahara Desert. They did not know that people like myself, Nze Charleston Okafor, Nze Emeka Maduewesi, and numerous other Igbos had conducted our DNA studies. The map you are looking at on the front cover of this book is the map produced by My Heritage Incorporation. My DNA map. My Heritage brought out the core places where my genes are found in the world, or genes analogous to mine are found in the world. The biggest concentration is the Levant, where you have Israel, Iraq. So the truth discusses itself. Igbos don't need DNA to show who they are, but life happens, as I said, hidden under black, African, pagan, and so on and so forth. And with the Israelites having been racialized, having been constructed into, quote, white, Igbos have to prove themselves, and DNA studies confirmed that they originated in the Middle East. This book details it. You also need to read it to actually know what DNA studies can prove and what it cannot prove. This is about anti-Semitism. It haunts the Igbos as it haunts the Jews. Unfortunately, the Igbos have had their own genocides. Not one in the last 150 years. Not one, but two genocides. Hebrew Igbo republics. This tells you everything about the culture and the religion of this place that will ultimately show the world the right way to live, because at the apogee of the civilization of these Hebrew republics, it had no standing army, it had no police, it had no prisons, yet it had no destitutes and it had no prostitution. I actually rode from afflicted Judah. I know who I was 2,000 years ago. I know who I was. I'm introducing the work of Swiss Israeli anthropologist Daniel Lees, who conducted a study of modern and early modern history of the Igbos, which caused a sea change in the Igbo academic community, making esteemed Igbo scholars like Professor Nwezi Iwe to conclude that Jewish studies will always not be complete without a look at the Igbo question. This is the precursor to Hebrew Igbo republics. Jewish anthropologist Caroline Rosenberg from South Africa believes it is the best work I have written. Well, I have no reason to doubt what she says. She's an anthropologist, so we have to respect her opinion. Igbo religion and culture. This gives you the theory. This traces that religion from Abraham to Moses. Last but not least, Igbo Americans. The Igbo Americans, we play the role that the American Jewish community plays in the life of Jews. It will fund the major projects of the Igbos. It will let the Igbo governments in Nigeria know that they have to be responsible to the Igbos. I guess when videos cross 20 minutes, they become unwieldy. So I have to start thinking of winding down. But you can do us a favor. You can share this video for us. You can also get these books. We are on a project of getting valuable information to Igbos in Nigeria. As you may know, Nigeria is melting down. Igbos are a hardworking people, but when a state is largely dysfunctional, no matter how hard people work, they don't get adequate rewards for their work. But if you buy these books, we will use the proceeds to print copies of it in Nigeria and then give them out, sometimes free, sometimes at very minimal cost to Igbos. Have a very beautiful day. Thank you.